right, there we go. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Yes, it's your good friend Possible here, and I'm here with Bucky.
Hello.
And it's just the two of us today because we're the only two who saw Kick-Ass 2 yesterday. The sequel to the original Kick-Ass movie, minus the balls to the wall subtitle that the comic book has with it. A little bit of changes here from the comic book. But everyone's back in action, and that's one thing you gotta admit. Whenever they make a sequel, if all the actors are willing to return to Kick-Ass or to any movie, you know that's a good sign. You know?
Yes.
And despite what you may have heard from other critics, I can tell you one thing. I liked it. Bucky?
I liked it too.
Yeah.
It was very good.
It was very well done. It was in line with the comic book. It was in line with what Kick-Ass is about. You know, Kick-Ass is supposed to be this movie where, you know, it's supposed to be what a superhero adventure would be like in the real world. Now, don't get me wrong. You're still in the superhero world, you know? So you still have the amazing acrobatics and the incredible, you know, physics-defying, laws-defining, action-packed adventure. Like the idea that, you know, somebody like could kill like a whole bunch of cops and nobody comes and stops them or nobody else comes around. She's able to kill them one at a time. The fact that one person can kill a lot of people like that, and you know, someone can be on top of a van and they're shooting all around, but they just happen to miss the body that's flat against the top of the van. You know,
If I remember correctly, she was rolling around. She was hanging off the edge.
and she knew where they were shooting, so she was able to dodge all their
basically,
bullets.
if someone's shooting, you keep on moving.
I know what you're trying to say. And of course, don't get me wrong, the suits are incredibly cheap. This time, one thing that kind of kills me about this idea is that people like to honor Kick-Ass too much. You know, they like to say that how he started it all, he was the first and all that, even though he admits that other people were the first. That he was just, you know, the guy who was more out there. If anyone is a superhero in this movie, it's Hit Girl. You know, she is clearly the only one that's an actual superhero. However, she's also the only one being called off of duty.
Right.
You know, she had to stop being Hit Girl. He struggles with the identity. Has a lot of Spider-Man 2 into it. You remember when Spider-Man 2 when he gave up being Spider-Man? Oh, spoiler alert. And so there's a lot of struggle with the identity and all that. One person who nearly stole this show, he could have stole this show if he was in it more, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was awesome as Sergeant Stars and Stripes. To be honest, I didn't recognize him at all. He seemed like a totally different person.
I thought they did a good job with the makeup and everything.
Yeah, the makeup, his acting, his voice especially.
Right.
But you know, it was great because one of the things that happens is that when he says some of his lines, like, you know, let's have fun, otherwise what's the point?
Right.
And when he's laughing, saying, you got a dog on your balls and stuff like that. That's all improvised.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was improvised. That was not in the original script. So, and to go show you what a great actor he is. I like Jim Carrey. I've always liked Jim Carrey, even back in the day when he was in Living Color. That said, you know what I found about this movie that a lot of people are saying the opposite of? This movie is not as violent as everyone's making it out to be. I don't know what's wrong with me. Am I seeing too many actual violent movies?
Possibly.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, I saw the original Conan. I've seen RoboCop. I've seen violence. And yes, this was violent, but not as violent. People are complaining, saying it's style over substance. And that, you know, the only complaint that I agree with, this is one part that I had trouble with a little bit, was that they kept saying too many times, this is the real world, you're not in a movie. You know, even though they are in a movie, obviously. But
I think that was the joke.
I know that was the point they were trying. Well, they're trying to make it more realistic, and you know, I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's realistic. I enjoy it because it's a fantasy adventure.
It's kind of like in the original Batman TV series. There's this one episode where Batman says to Robin, "It's like stuff like that only happens in comic books. This is the real world."
Right.
So along the same lines, I understood.
They redid a lot of stuff. It's still a brutal movie. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's not violence. I'm not saying there's not cursing and swearing. Not as much. I mean, Hit Girl is like a, you know, really cleaned up her act compared to what she was in the first movie. But also, I'm saying that when she's Hit Girl. Because there is this period where she can't be Hit Girl anymore. So she's not swearing as much. However, when she is Hit Girl, you expect more, you know, profane insults. And in this movie, you're not getting it like you do in the original. They cleaned her up a little bit. That's all I can say.
A little bit, but not, you know.
But this movie is a definite see it. You know?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, we both liked it. What was your favorite part, Buck?
Probably the cafeteria scene. It was the most
hilarious.
hilarious.
Cafeteria scene.
It was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
She got revenge without being violent.
Right. Now, one other thing I will have to admit, somebody else who stole the show, Night Bitch. And there's a lot. You know what's so funny? The most of the cursing in this movie comes from these people's names. It doesn't come from the actual what they're saying. You know, the guy at the bottom. You know what they're calling him on IMDb?
What?
He's the Beep. Because we can't say his name. You know, because trying to keep everything decent, so they call him the Beep. You know, it's IMDb rules and stuff like that. But yeah, I liked it. I didn't find it as violent. I found it on par with what the original was. I didn't see anything too different. Violence, action, and this guy named Kick-Ass who is actually really trying to figure it all out. He's like a lost soul in this, but he knows what he has to do.
Basically, he's like the Spider-Man of the group.
Exactly.
Spider-Man, when he got his powers, he didn't know what it was for,
right?
Basically.
But
he's still figuring himself out.
Yeah.
Now, Hit Girl's just the opposite. She was trained so she knew what she was.
Right.
No matter how much you put like a pink dress on her and make her go to school, she's always going to be Hit Girl.
Exactly. Now, one thing I will say about this, they left it open for a sequel, but they also left it very open for a spin-off, and that's what we do have for the Kick-Ass series. We have a spin-off comic book of just Hit Girl, which would be nice to see, because sometimes I feel like he gets in the way.
Oh, let's face it. Hit Girl is the moneymaker for this.
Oh, big time. And she did steal the show again.
They'd be a fool not to do a spin-off movie.
Exactly, and I do look forward to it. I hope they do. Well, guys, that's it for our review of Kick-Ass. Thank you so much for listening. You take care now.
Be seeing you.